This is Cheryl Power, and this is Rugby Wrap-Up.
Next on Rugby Wrap-Up, who will win the Major League Rugby Championship Shield, plus rumors and trade talk with Dan Power, Bryan Ray, and Matt McCarthy. Rugby Wrap-Up brought to you in part by The Pig and Whistle, the world's best rugby pub. The Murphy Kennedy Group, founded with the idea that construction can be done better. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up in this week's Major League Rugby edition with Dan Power, Bryan Ray, and yours truly, Matt McCarthy. Guys, it's unbelievable, but we're going into the final. Who knew that it would go this fast, that it would go this smoothly in COVID times, and as exciting as it has? And with that, let's go back to last week. Bryan, New York versus Atlanta. It was 9-3 for most, or pretty late in the game, and then that yellow card came, and it was 10-9. It was like a high-scoring baseball score.
Yeah, this must have been hard for you to watch there, Matt. I'm sorry. I feel like we should send you a card or something, or blow you a kiss, do something, maybe at the end of the show.
Well, I've got Atlanta Bay behind me.
Let's be honest, it wasn't the most thrilling match ever. Super humid in Marietta. Guys couldn't hang out of the ball at all. I mean, every time they went into contact, someone was losing it forward, backwards, whatever. So it turned into a bit of a, an arm wrestle, kick fest. A lot of penalties decided. It was always going to come down to who was making, the biggest mistakes. A kick in the air, somebody knocks it on, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, it had to be a young Canadian Quidnowity, maybe just getting a little bit too excited, going for the big hit, gets TMO. We had a TMO for the first time this season, calls him out, and he gets a yellow card, and an appropriate yellow card, and no complaints.
Horse hockey.
And then, ATL just goes in and does their thing with their forwards until they score. And that's it. That's all she wrote. One try against, New York's their 3 penalties. And maybe before the season, we would have expected New York to enjoy those kind of conditions a little bit more, but they have tried to play more rugby this season. And I think, you noted it before the game, not having Hollinshead's boot in there probably didn't help in that one. Harry Bennett, more of a running fly half. So, that's just how it went, a tight game. But I think the better team probably won in the end.
Although, Dan, your fellow Aussie, Harry Bennett, did hit some good kicks.
Yeah, he had a great year, considering the circumstances that Harry found himself in with Hollinshead's first his injury and then his early departure. I thought he had an outstanding year, old Benno. But, yeah, I think the two things, I think Bryan got one of the points really spot on there with Hollinshead. I think Cara Pryor in those conditions is a great go-forward ball runner. And I think New York really missed his ability to not only get some fast go-forward ball for Andy Ellis to play with, but also just create a little bit of magic. He's a really good player, backing up ball runners, but also creating a little bit of space himself. So those two definitely hurt New York's chances going into this one. But
and Dan, just so the folks at home know, he was unavailable because of the red card, and off camera, you said that the referees were conspiring against New York.
Off camera. Yeah, I listen, the referees are conspiring against everyone. Part of the New World Order. I think they're, what's the,
he didn't really say
people,
that.
The referees, that whole thing. Yeah. Matt just taking creative liberties again. I love it.
Yes. It's I lie and I make up stuff and try to get clicks. That's what we do here. But you two lend credibility, and speaking of credibility, the league's got credibility after that final week. Those 2 matches were great. I mean, some people didn't like the slugfest or the defensive struggle that was Atlanta versus New York, but for me, it was like just constant tension, and I think that's what you want as a sports fan. You hate it when your team loses, and I'm not saying New York is my team. It's just because I picked them every week. I'm not saying that, but you come out of it, you're interested. You want more. Always leave the audience wanting more. And then Utah, your boy Sean Pittman, keeping them right in it, Dan.
Yeah, there was a moment there when Malolo scored, and they go up, and we're all frantically looking at flights and hotels in Marietta, Georgia. So like, the final's going to Atlanta now, and then bit of Ryan James. Well, actually, I will say Harrison Goddard brilliance. Ryan James finished beautifully, but both those tries, Harrison Goddard, great vision. And LA at the death. I think Fat Man Scoop came in at halftime and fired him up, gave a talk, and he's like, "Don't make me get the Crooklyn clan down here and get after you guys." But two very defensive games, but we've come to expect that with finals footy, right? Like everything just turns up another notch, and I don't think it's going to be any different. I don't think this final is going to be high scoring at all. I think it'll be another really tight affair between these two sides.
So on the rugby odds, we have it as the over-under is 48.5, and the spread is LA giving 6.5 to Atlanta.
I think 48.5 is really high.
But it's so hard to figure though with these teams, right? I mean, they're both capable of scoring a lot of points, but the conditions are going to be perfect.
I know, but look, Atlanta were the first team to beat LA, and it was weird that teams went away from it.
Excuse me. New York was the first team to beat LA. Thank you very much, Mr. Revisionist History.
Atlanta were the first. Hey, you didn't let me finish. Atlanta were the first team to beat LA. Not New York,
right?
Not called New York,
Jersey City.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay, Dan. Just continue. Go ahead with your yarn.
It was a blueprint, right? And teams went away from it. So I think Atlanta will know the way to beat LA is going to keep it tight. So I think 48 is generous.
So Bryan, what do you have to say about that match? Was it what you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I mean, it was low scoring, but, I thought it was a really exciting game. It wasn't like the teams, didn't try to get through. I mean, we saw Bill Meeks, I thought was outstanding in the midfield for LA, a couple of terrific line breaks, an awesome short pass to Adam Ashley Cooper up the middle. But that defense, and there's some random commentators on that game who I think mentioned that during the game, the defense of Meeks and Ashley Cooper in that midfield completely shut down Utah. And it wasn't just that. Mike Teo and Mika Cruze had no space whatsoever. Every time they got the ball, they were just jammed. There was nowhere to go. They were completely shut out of that game. And Utah just didn't have answers. They had to look at Hagen Schulte to find spots, some nice cross kicks. And, some of them were nice, but man, DTH, he's flying around the pitch, he's grabbing it, he's turning around, he's stepping at, 34, 35 years old now. That was just a really good game. You have to give credit to LA for that game, as much as maybe, the romantics wanted Utah to really pull it out. And there was a point there where I really thought Utah was going to get it. But, full credit to LA. They totally stymied the Utah offense. They couldn't get any line breaks in that game. So you have to say, again, the better team won that game. I thought it was a very entertaining game, even though it wasn't a high score.
And Dan, he just brought up DTH and Adam Ashley Cooper. And what you know about these guys is you always think offense, but they play great defense too. These guys are hard-nosed guys.
Yeah, both numerous turnovers. DTH got his head in there and got a turnover down near his line, actually, that forced it when Utah were attacking. Adam Ashley Cooper's the same. I mean, we've always made, reference to how many stars there are in LA, but Billy Meeks is their best player. I'd put him up there with Angus Cottrell as well. When Meeks was out hurt with the cheekbone, that was kind of like when they started to lose a little bit of that, staunch
grit
in the midfield. Yeah, absolutely. And then he came back and it took some time to adjust and get used to it again. But I mean, if I'm a GM and if I had my pick of players to go and sign, I'm going after Billy Meeks and Harrison Goddard to build that back line around those two guys. And it's going to be tough because Atlanta now have to figure out what Utah couldn't. Utah just couldn't get line breaks. They couldn't get through that defense because it was so good. And their line speed's brilliant. They slow the ruck down well. The problem for Atlanta now is you welcome back Angus Cottrell. He's done with his 3-game suspension. He's the absolute man at slowing down the ball, stealing balls. He's a nuisance all the time. So, listen, you couldn't, for the league, you couldn't have scripted a better final.
Before we go into the commercial break, what about transactions and stuff that you're hearing about away from the games around the league? What rumors are you hearing?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're starting to enter silly season, as you like to call it, in the rugby world. The off season, lots of signings. One trend that's really interesting right now is Seattle all of a sudden signing a bunch of guys. This year, we didn't know who they had 2 weeks before the season started.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was signed up, but they were all on 1-year contracts. All of a sudden, we've got Rickard Hatting, Lawina Futi, AJ Alatimu, James Malcolm, Ross Neal, all on long-term contracts to go with Alan Clark. So that's a major positive for them. I think Seawolves fans have to be very happy. But there's also guys going, leaving the league who are getting picked up by other teams. In France, we're seeing Aston Fortin leaving Utah, heading to Narbonne, the same team as Jason Robertson from Old Glory DC. Save Totovosau is leaving San Diego, also going to Narbonne. Zach Talafel is finished with New York. He's heading off to France to, I think it's Graulet, he was with before New York. Victor Comtat is going to Rumilly, where Sam Wuching had signed, but Wuching immediately picking up a Pro D2 contract with Rouen Normandy. So a number of these guys are moving, and in my opinion, this is a good thing. It means people are watching. Vian Conradi going to Gloucester in the Premiership is huge. So they're watching, they're keeping tabs on these guys, and they think the standard is at a level required where they can see, yeah, this guy's playing well here. That does translate into our league that we're competing in. Dan, are you getting a piece of Conradi's contract for how much you talked about him on the show?
No. Listen, he deserves all the raps and praise. He had a fantastic year, but I agree with Bryan. Like, some people can say, "Oh, this exodus of talent can be viewed in a negative way." I see it as a positive. It means more eyes on the league, and what it's basically going to do is if there were players sitting at home who were unsure, now they're going to be like, listen, MLR can be a springboard. Harrison Goddard is probably going to get a Super Rugby contract, I would imagine. And it's based on the fact that he just had a great year for LA and in the MLR. And you're going to get the talent's going to rise and rise. People who have been, in Super Rugby or Premiership sides now will be like, this could be a springboard back in. Instead of playing lower divisions in the country I'm at and not getting noticed, I can go over there, be on national television, get picked up. We're also seeing it at a coaching level. Darren Coleman, Ryan Martin, just two names. We're going to see, more and more people focusing on this league. But yeah, and the other good thing out of it, Matt, is I think now as the MLR teams here are going to, see this transient motion of talent coming internationally, it then forces them inward to go, we have to build stars here. And who are they going to build up now? They're going to build up the homegrown players, the born and bred American players who are staying here and can be in the community and recognized. So you can put them up on a billboard. I can come watch Michael Basker play this weekend for the Utah Warriors. So to me, it's all positives out of this.
Will he keep that haircut?
I hope so. I mean, we've already got the sponsorship with Geico. They had a close-up of him the other week. He looked like the Geico caveman minus the beard. So they've just got to put the beard on him and with the long hair and, 15 minutes. It could save you 15% or more in your currency.
Oh, there's Dan Power, ladies and gentlemen. Sign him, Geico. But, getting back to what you're saying, how exciting is it and what an opportunity for a guy like Ryan James to be playing in that back line and get that try? How cool is that? He's an American.
Yep, lots of work to do. And the cool thing, Matt, it was American on American. James versus Teo. Two young kids who are super exciting and going to be around forever. James got the cookies on this occasion, but, Mike Teo has got them on plenty of occasions as well. So, mate,
and a rivalry.
I love it. It is.
Right?
It's good. Yep. Because I guarantee Mika Kruse watched him do that. Meek's got the opportunity this time with the national team on tour. And it'll be hopefully a friendly rivalry and a positive one. But I guarantee that, boom, made a little note in the notebook. Ryan James, match winner.
So guys, who are you going to pick in the final? Oh, wait, we got to take a commercial break. That's a teaser. That's what we're doing. Don't go away. We'll be right back. If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
Been blind since I was 4. And I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste. And my beer's Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
And we are back. Matt McCarthy with Dan Power and Bryan Ray. Guys, this is it. This is for all the marbles, the whole enchilada. Whatever cliche you want to throw out, this is it. This is now. We're here. We're at the final. It's New York versus Toronto, despite the fact that they're both in the Eastern Conference. No, that's not what's happening, Brian. You and I are both out. Both of Dan's teams are in. And that is Rugby, ATL, and the Los Angeles Guiltinis. And it's at the LA Coliseum. The league couldn't have scripted it better, Dan.
Yeah, it's going to look good. $10 tickets. So
that's great.
This will be the biggest crowd we've had at the Coliseum. I wouldn't be surprised if they do a run on Friday and just with 20,000 free tickets along Manhattan Beach and be like, Oprah Winfrey, you get a ticket, you get a ticket, you get a ticket. Like whatever it takes to get, if we get 20,000 people at the Coliseum this Sunday.
If they get 5, it's great. If they can get 5.
I think they had over 5 for the semi. I think they end up coming in around 7,000 for the semi was like a rough number that came in. I'm not sure of the final number, but that's the biggest I've seen it there by far. So I'm going big. 20,000 for the final in the Coliseum. Let's do it.
Whoa. All right. I like your spunk. Brian, we gave it away earlier, but it's 48.5 for the over-under and 6.5 on the line. Dan's pointing out that, guys like Cottrell coming back or a guy like Cottrell's coming back and he might be slowing that game down. But for me, that means maybe a ton of points for LA, but Atlanta has got the ability to play any style, really.
Yeah, but we saw the selection that they put out last weekend against New York, and it was definitely a more conservative selection offensively. They left out Carl Elsa, they left out Mark O'Keefe, they left out Rory Van Voot, who was fit again. And these are conscious decisions. They have their import limits, so these are just selection decisions that they made. And we might see one change in the back line. Well, we might see a couple. Does he start Coleman in this match? We're not sure. It looks like Teiranga Tira Waitokia might be out. He hurt himself in that game last weekend, so maybe a selection change there on the wing. So I think that this will be a lot closer to the game we saw LA Utah. This isn't going to be a big tries. I mean, there's so much at stake. Guys aren't going to take super crazy risks, number one, but these teams are also both outstanding. This is the 2 best defensive teams in MLR. So it's going to take a lot to break the line and get points. So yeah, I wouldn't be banking on, I don't know where you're coming up with that 48, but that's a bit much what I think. By the way, I'm in Hermosa Beach actually handing out free tickets for the final right now. If you see me with this hat, just come say hello. I'll hook you up.
So, but the interchangeability of players on the Atlanta roster has really been Scott Lawrence's one of his marks of his genius this year in managing this ball club, Dan. And one guy changes, you think, what the flock was that move? And the guy, of course, makes you look like a dope, right? I mean, Was he putting that one out there, not necessarily thinking that this is going to be his lineup in the final because that was what he thought he had a better shot at with New York in a slugfest?
Yeah, I don't know. The complexity of Scott Lawrence's mind is far beyond my comprehension, unfortunately. But it does make for a very interesting final, right? You've got, the pressure of expectation on LA to win this with the roster they have. And then you have the pressure of the unknown. You don't have big game experience really in that Atlanta roster.
Are you going off into the unknown known or the unknown known?
The unknown of the known, which is now unknown in ATL. No, but it does make it interesting. Yeah, I'm with Brian. 48. Oh, that's tasty. I'll take the unders on that for sure. So I'll probably get a phone call Sunday afternoon from Matt to pay up. But it is what it is.
35-21.
Really? You think it'll be that high?
35-21 LA.
That seems high. I mean, we haven't seen LA put on those kind of
it's going to be perfect conditions. It's not going to be what they played
perfect
in
on
Atlanta.
The weekend. Yeah. It's perfect on the weekend.
I'm just saying.
17-13. We had 30 points with the 2 best attacking teams in the league.
All right. What are you going to bring facts up to me now? Is that what you're going to throw facts in my, what are you, John Adams? Facts are stubborn things. Come on, guy.
Listen.
Live a little. It's the Coliseum. It's the final. Gillies for everybody.
You can use statistics to prove anything. 70% of people know that. Abraham Lincoln said that when he was working at Google. So fact check that one. But yeah, it is going to be great.
Okay. And what do you think of what this means for next year if LA wins as opposed to if Atlanta wins, Brian?
I mean, does it really have a big impact? They're both coming back next year. At the end of the day, one of the team wins, one of the team, because they're both expansion teams. Remember, ATL only played 5 games last year, so they, had barely had any kind of run last season. I mean, they had their team together a little bit longer, but they're both very new teams. None of the 6 original teams who are remaining, the Utah's the only one who made the playoffs. I think it's great. I don't think it matters really at the end of the day either. It'll be cool if the home team wins with the fans there, but at the same time, I love the narrative that ATL comes in from the other side of the country and beats them in the Coliseum, this huge high-powered team of LA. So I think it's fine either way. I think it's the most important thing is that the game itself, does itself, credit, and we get the spectacle and entertaining match, a close match, and we have a great crowd and a perfect day. And it looks like the weather's going to behave. So I'm very optimistic. That's what we're going to get.
But Dan, is this like a Rocky movie? Is this Rocky versus Drago because of all the Russians on LA?
Maybe the hair color. I think DTH had the hair at one point. They're looking all.
He's a Ruski.
He is. Yeah. So, and there you go. Actually, that's a great analogy, Matt, because ATL going into hostile territory, Rocky, Christmas, into Moscow, had to beat the unbeatable, the engineered, Ivan Drago, this big, scary force. LA's to the west, but you know what I mean?
Sure.
And, yeah.
All right.
Who knows? Just remember, though, if you are going to say that, I just want to take one thing for the viewers at home. If I can change, and you can change, everybody can change.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah, Cold War ended that night. Incredible stuff. Great
That's
documentary.
Good. That's good. That's good stuff. All right, guys, before I let you go, final comments. Bryan, you go first.
All right. Well, I got to defend the Eastern Conference here, especially since ATL were provided my Toronto boys with a home away from home. I'm really looking forward to this match. I think ATL, though, they have that blueprint. They have a victory already in their pocket over LA. I don't think they're going to be too upset about this trip over to Los Angeles. I think they're going to enjoy it. I think they're ready for this. I think there'll be a couple little tweaks to the lineup. And I think DTH Vendor Mervikov, that flashy Russian winger, might be under some pressure in this one. I'm going to pick ATL to win this one in the squeaker, 15-14 the final score.
Yeah. Dan, final comments.
What a great year. All the shadows and the dark clouds that surrounded MLR in March, with everything gone. Just like all of our backdrops now. It's nothing but sunny days ahead for Major League Rugby to get through the season. And there's so many people that deserve credit for it, and I hope they do get credit for it because it was just an incredible achievement to get the season off without a hiccup. And I mean, even like New York, like scrambling for a home, and people made fun of New York for playing at Cochrane Stadium. But if you dig deeper, there was no option. Like the option was we don't play at all. And
exactly.
New York to make it happen in a very, very tough climate. Like if you're not from New York, understanding how New York works and fields and stuff like that, that whole crew deserves a lot of credit to get to the playoffs for that. The whole league, a lot of credit. It's going to be a great game Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern kickoff on CBS. Should be awesome.
All right, fellas. I want to thank you. We'll talk next week after the results and see who was right and who was wrong on this one, because it's going to be a barn burner, I think. Lots wide open, old-fashioned hockey, Bryan. Quebec Nordiques versus the Edmonton Oilers, and it's going to be a high-scoring affair on the beautiful grass in the Coliseum. You heard it here on Rugby Wrap-Up, and these two don't believe that for a second. So they happen to be a little bit more wise. I'm thinking with my heart. But on that note, on behalf of Mr. Dan Power in that shirt that he got at a soup kitchen, and Bryan Ray, whose shirt isn't any much better, I'm Matt McCarthy. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. But in the meantime, check out our other segments, including The Rugby Odds, featuring WWE Hall of Famer John Bradshaw Layfield, the world's best sports bettor ever in the Philly Godfather, and Rugby's Gift, Gift A Bailu, our Major League Rugby show, Martial Law, The Zack Attack, and please sign up for our Rugby Wrap-Up Red Cross Blood Donor Team.